Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. Today I want to talk about Doctor Who, specifically the 50th anniversary and some ideas I've had after a recent video I've made about, basically movie franchises and reboots and remakes and that kind of thing, and kind of thinking along the lines of what we see in comic books now and again, pretty often as of these days. Whenever they renumber or kind of reboot an issue, things start from scratch. If we look at DC Comics New 52, they kind of, went back to the drawing board with the majority of their characters, for better or worse, remains to be seen, but a lot of people don't like it for the most part. And I got to thinking along the lines of, Doctor Who-wise, when we come to the point where the Doctor reaches his last regeneration. Now, we know that the Master has had myriad, regenerations given to him, and he returns and returns and returns, but the Doctor's almost running on empty, essentially. And I got to thinking, as we approach the 50th anniversary, I think it would be a really controversial thing if they pulled a stunt like this, but I want to run it past my fellow Whovians. If we found out that essentially, in a 50th anniversary kind of special thing, and presuming they would get back the surviving actors who have played the Doctor to play former incarnations of themselves or whatever, but what if we had a story that basically told us that all of the Doctor's, incarnations up to that point had been false? Essentially, going back to the entire history of Doctor Who, what if all of that wasn't real? And essentially the Doctor had been programmed to think he'd been all these people, and maybe in that kind of a story framework he would be interacting with these false personalities, that kind of thing. And we find out that the Doctor never really regenerated at all, and that he actually has a full set of regenerations ahead of him. Would something like that ruin Doctor Who and be disrespectful, or would it be clever and interesting? I think, again, like I was with that aforementioned video about remakes and reboots, I would be of two minds about it. For the most part, I think I would kind of be leaning toward the idea that, wow, that's kind of really disrespectful, almost a slap in the face to everything that's come before. But at the same time, it would almost validate it, because that would mean it's all been put there for a reason. But what would that reason be? It would have to be a hell of a reason to, make the Doctor think all these things about himself. And what kind of, inspired this line of thinking was the fact that we're all thinking about the Doctor's name. Will it be revealed, as Stephen Moffat has come out and said, he knows his real name, and, he's not telling, or why the Doctor's hiding it, that kind of thing. And it's really that air of mystery that is just, I think, really what captures the audiences. They want to know more about this mysterious Doctor who travels through time, this madman with a blue box. And essentially, I think, if that name ever did get revealed, it would probably be part of a great, spectacular story where it would make sense for that story, maybe. And I don't think it would ruin Doctor Who necessarily. But I kind of come back to that question when I think about, in the ways that they could approach giving the Doctor a whole new regeneration cycle per his 12th regeneration when he's basically tapped out. One story aspect that they could go is that route that I've described, where essentially we find out all of this, the first through to the 10th Doctors have all been false incarnations, and maybe even those companions. And so in a sense, as I say, that would kind of be disrespectful, I think, but at the same time it would be very clever in the regard that every single element of all of those 50 years of story things that have happened, companions who have come and gone, and that kind of thing, it would all be there deliberately, and it would have to be something just, universe shattering, I think, basically for that to be validated. And so I'm sure there would be two different sides to the argument in the Whovian fandom if that ever did occur. People would probably be, very upset about it, but then there would probably be people who would have a lukewarm reception to it and kind of think, well, I kind of get where they're going. As long as I think they specify it in the story, wherever this would take place, if it were to take place, as long as they specify that 50 years of history, that all of those former Doctors, all of those former companions, every one of those stories that happened the way they did, and again, I'm kind of thinking along the lines of Star Trek. they paid respect by having Spock Prime show up in this alternate new reboot universe. As long as they pay that respect and they give a very valid reason, making that entire history a deliberate ruse to keep some, penultimate secret that could really ruin the entire universe at the Doctor's hands, as long as it was something huge like that, I could probably swallow that pill, that story point pill, And so I leave it to you guys, my fellow Whovians. What do you guys think? If they pulled something like that for the 50th anniversary where you found out the entire history of the show was stuff that didn't really happen. Maybe it happened in the Doctor's mind or whatever, or in an alternate universe even, and it wasn't really valid anymore as being canon, if you will. And I take that term very loosely with Doctor Who, as basically every other episode things are different from the last thing you saw. So would it upset you, or would you be able to swallow it? Please post that in the comments below or as video response. I'd love to hear your opinions. And of course, that's going to be it for me, so I'll catch you all later. Peace.